Hello, Ohana. This is our last webinar in a series of 5. My name is Anna Szabo, and I have been your host here for the last 5 weeks, thanks to saasguru, who created this incredible platform for all of us to get together and share what does it take to blaze your trail, to hustle hard to earn your certification, become many times Salesforce certified, prepare to land your dream job, how to find it, how to get it. And we've shared so much wisdom in the last 5 weeks. So this is our one last webinar, and I am beyond grateful to everybody who has participated in this webinar series, who has participated as an attendee and as a speaker, because the value of a forum like this is for us to learn from one another. And today I prepared for you 4 mindsets that you need if you would like to become a Salesforce certified trailblazer and land your dream job. These tips that I'm going to be sharing with you today are not anything that you have ever heard before, and they're going to be life-changing for you because I did not come empty-handed. I brought some guest speakers with me, people who personally, some of them impacted me on my journey, and my journey has been that May this year, 2022, I started learning Salesforce at Salesforce Bootcamp by Salesforce. And while for the first 2.5 weeks, I was behind absolutely everybody in our global cohort, by week 4, I completed my 6-week bootcamp 2 weeks earlier, and I passed my Salesforce Certified Admin exam on the first attempt in my first 30 days. And then in 87 days, I became 3 times Salesforce certified, and in 108 days, I became 6 times Salesforce certified. And that's when I landed my dream job as a Salesforce consultant at Agency 73, where I am enjoying my career right now, working with amazing people, doing very impactful work, and my heart is flourishing with gratitude. And that is why when saasguru invited me to do this series of webinars to share what I've learned with you, I said yes. And also I decided, why only learn from me? How about I bring some awesome people to share their wisdom with you as well? So today we have incredible guests, and I hope that you will honor them by showing your face. Right now, I'm looking at a bunch of black screens, and we all need to get on camera so that we can actually show each other our faces and be a community. So please make sure that you turn on your camera. It's a very weird experience to speak to a black screen. And let me get started with mindset number 1. The first mindset that I recommend you adopt on your trailblazing journey to help you become Salesforce certified and to land your dream job is the mindset of endless possibilities and optimism. Where there is no vision, people perish. That's what I know from my personal experience, and that's what I'm believing for you. So what does this mean? Have a vision for your future career success, and also meditate on it daily with your optimism, and let that optimism, let that vision fuel your why. Because there will be good days and there will be bad days. And during the bad days, you have to have a very strong why so that you can actually persevere, have grit, have fortitude, and not give up. During these webinars, we had several people who said that they were giving up on their journey. The journey is too hard. I agree 100% that the trailblazing journey today, especially in this competitive environment, is extremely difficult, but it does not mean that you should give up on the journey. It doesn't mean it. So to support this point of view, I would like to invite my first guest, Phil Weinmeister, and he is 30 times Salesforce certified architect, 4 times published author, Salesforce MVP, which is an incredible honor where people nominate you for your contribution to their lives. He's a head of product, Salesforce Americas. My neighbor here in Georgia. He works at IBM. Phil, welcome. And thank you so much for making the time for us here today. And the question for you is, what types of jobs are there available for new trailblazers entering the ecosystem? And do you believe that there is actually plenty of room for all of us, different kinds of people from different backgrounds and with different skills? Thank you so much for being here. Please take it away. The stage is yours.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Anna. I'm really honored to be here. Hope everyone is having a good morning or evening, whatever time it is for you guys. Yeah, thanks. Really an honor. And this is an awesome series that you have going. So yeah, let me answer this in a few different parts. So what I've seen, I've been in the Salesforce ecosystem now for 12 years. And, of course, there are economic ups and downs, and there are times when there is major growth, and there are times when, some companies are laying off. But overall, clearly I've seen significant growth in the Salesforce ecosystem, and many more times than not, I've seen, firsthand companies desperate to find people. And so it's been a good place to, start a career. And I've seen a lot of people, you guys have probably seen this too, with people switching their careers and deciding, I'm either where I'm in is a dead end, or there's just not opportunity, and they make the move. So I have a few thoughts on that, suggestions for where to get started. So first, is there opportunity to kind of dive in to get started if you're new? Definitely. I think, it requires a little bit of creative thinking. The reality is, sure, there are some entry-level jobs that, or maybe not if you already have some type of experience to come into, but I'll kind of compartmentalize those or segment those and talk about them separately. Let's say you're, early in your career. The reality is, sure, if you just come up and apply for a Salesforce admin job without a lot of experience, it's going to be tough. But a few tips that I would give. Anna already mentioned what she did for her path. That is definitely a path. Focus on certifications. That's a good way to go. I think no matter what you do with certifications or not, getting some real world experience is critical. So you have this, tough situation here where it's like, well, I want to get more experience, but you're saying I need experience for that. So let me give you some advice. Number one, you could do some work on your own or pro bono work, right? So anybody can get their hands on a dev org, right? So you could go and you could actually create something and spend some time building out solutions, right? So you could build out different solutions that you can show. So that's one thing. Companies do look for, pro bono work. Maybe there's an organization in your community that uses Salesforce, and you say, hey, I'd love to help you out just for free. That means something, because if you actually do a good job, then you can reference them, right? I would also say another path that maybe people don't think about is, everybody wants instant gratification, but the reality is sometimes these things take a while. Anna gave some awesome numbers, but I know there's a lot of hard work even before those days to get to that point. And what I would say, and I've seen this firsthand, I would recommend considering finding a tangential position at an organization where you can get more Salesforce experience without necessarily having to be hired into a Salesforce specific role. So what do I mean by that? Let me give you an example. I used to work for CloudCraze. CloudCraze was acquired by Salesforce. It's now Salesforce B2B Commerce. There was an individual there who didn't even know what Salesforce was, hired in right out of school, had no other experience, and was in inside sales. I believe at that company at the time, the inside sales, the salary was about $35,000 a year. This individual worked hard, did what they could. And while they were there, even though their job wasn't as a Salesforce admin or something like that, this person actually came to me and kind of along the lines of what this webinar is trying to do, asked me, hey, what's your advice? How can I do better? How can I grow my career? And I told this person, definitely certifications is a big one, but just keep learning the platform. So while this person was there, even though their job wasn't a Salesforce job. They were using Salesforce, right? So they got used to Salesforce. So they had worked at a Salesforce company, a partner, went and got some certifications, and it's pretty amazing. Now, a few years later, that person is a manager of a team. I believe, I don't know his exact salary, but I'm pretty sure it's at least 3 times what he was making before, which is pretty awesome. Super happy, and he has this great career. It's not necessarily going to be what happens to everybody, but my point here is you may start in a job that is related where you can become a power user, and you can still reference that as, hey, I worked for, you know, a Salesforce partner. Another option is go for a customer of Salesforce. So figure out.
But before we move to another option, I just want to point out what you brought to our attention. That person came to you to ask for your advice so that they can design a vision that would fuel their journey. While they were not making the money they wanted, that person was asking you, what should be my vision? What can potentially be there for me? And once you advise that person took steps one after the other, one step at a time. It doesn't happen in the next 30 seconds. And that's why I want to bring this to everybody's attention on this call. You sharing a success story, and anybody can be looking at this guy on LinkedIn announcing his big success and say, he must be lucky. What an overnight success.
Right.
But no, there is so much that goes behind the scenes to get to that point. And it is a process. I'm sorry if I interrupted you. Please continue.
No, not at all. That's a great point. And even with this individual, along the way, there were multiple jobs he was rejected for, but he kept going. I tried to get him hired at my company. He made it through all the interviews, but they decided, you know, it wasn't quite the right fit. And he took it well. He learned from it. He took feedback and he moved on, and now he's doing really well. So the other scenario is to identify some of the larger customers of Salesforce. A lot of a lot of Fortune 500 companies use Salesforce. If you can get a job at one of these companies that might not be a Salesforce job, but you're using Salesforce, and you have the opportunity over time to start, even if you're just somebody who's working with, the business analysts or the admins or developers, that's also really good. That's another way to do it. Actually, my first job came from taking a job at it was a Salesforce partner, but they were also a Salesforce customer, and I didn't even know what Salesforce was. And I ended up basically taking that role of Salesforce admin after the admin and the backup admin both gave their notice. So, it can happen in a bunch of different ways. So hopefully that helps, but, be a little bit creative. Obviously, you can apply to a bunch of jobs that are Salesforce jobs and see what happens, but those are some other ways that maybe people don't think about as much. So hopefully that helps the audience here, Anna.
This is excellent. Thank you so much. I know that we have many great speakers today, but while we have Phil, who actually has to go, I would like to give anybody who wants to raise their hand a quick opportunity to ask a question, but it has to be quick. So let me count 1, 2, 3. Do we have a hand raised? Does anybody want to? Okay, Adnan. Please unmute yourself.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Phil. Thank you very much.
Hey, how are you doing?
For sharing all your good advice. I've got a question. The third category is for the people, they're already in the business and they are working as a business analyst, but they've been working as a journalist, business analyst, and they want to try to make a shift from being a journalist to a specialized business analyst. What would be your advice for them? In addition to getting the certification under the belt.
And when you say so generalized, as in not leveraging Salesforce right now?
Yeah, so worked on different projects, worked on Dynamics, worked on in-house app buildings for different companies, but have hardly worked on Salesforce Live.
Got it.
So
yeah, you're in a good spot. I mean, look, just like always, companies are always looking for experienced people. And so that is extremely valuable that you have the business analysis background. That's huge. Honestly, I think that you don't have to overthink it. You take that experience, you start a path of learning. If you could get even one certification to combine with that, even if you don't have real world Salesforce experience, I mean, I guess you would from the certification, but I mean, with an employer, that's going to be very attractive, right? If you can show, hey, I'm a seasoned business analyst and I was able to get, a certification within a few months or something like that, even if it takes a year or whatever, that doesn't really matter. You can show that will open up a lot of doors, right? So that's what I would personally say. I'd say just combine what you have. And I would say try to get certified, get a few certifications.
And by the way, Adnan, our next speaker is going to be sharing something that fits right into your question. So thank you so much for your question. Phil, thank you so much for being here with us today and for helping us realize what opportunities are there and how designing a vision can fuel our why and fuel our energy, especially have us persevere through hard times. And you mentioned through the examples you gave that this is not an overnight success. So thank you so much for this. I appreciate you greatly. And our next speaker is Marcus Dietz, and he is, and I'm sorry if I mispronounce, Marcus Dietz. He is 13 times Salesforce Certified architect at a large consulting partner focusing on the public sector, my personal mentor who impacted my career beyond what mere words can express in either English or in Russian. Я не буду с вами говорить по-русски сегодня. I'm not going to speak Russian, on English only, but I truly don't have the words to explain, and I will tell you why. So before I ask Marcus my question, let me tell you all what happened. I struggled with almost what Adnan is asked now, ask his question. I struggled because I saw that I was entering this new career, even though I had tremendous success in my previous career in digital marketing, sales enablement. I worked on many go-to-market strategy teams. But I saw myself as entering a new ecosystem and I wanted to downplay my accomplishments because I thought nobody would want to hire me if I presented myself the way I was. And that's exactly what I did with my resume. I made my resume very, very simple, and I really struggled to get hired until I had a breakthrough, life-changing conversation with Marcus. And he did not tell me what to do. This is what he did. He asked me, well, just don't worry about your resume. Just don't worry about anything. Just tell me in your own words, what have you been doing all these years? And when I explained to him what I've been doing and what I accomplished, he said, let me tell you what I hear. This is your experience that relates to Salesforce. This is how your experience relates to Salesforce. This is how it relates. And I was like, and he said, stop downplaying your resume. You need to put all of this on the resume. And guys, whatever he's gonna advise you now, I recommend you document and do it, because that same day I did exactly what he told me to do. I changed my resume, I changed the language in my resume, and I landed multiple offers. So Marcus, here's a question. Based on your industry experience and genuine wisdom that I experienced from you, you advised me to speak openly about all of my work experiences, which helped me land my dream job. How can trailblazers identify and communicate their transferable skills? Thank you so much for being here today. I am so glad you made it. Please take it away.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So your story is such an inspiring and excellent one. So just to recap a little bit, you reached out to me and we had a conversation, and I saw your resume and I looked at your resume. And then after speaking with you, I thought, this person sounds like they have a ton of experience working with business leaders in an extremely client-facing manner, tons of technical experience. But when I look at the resume as it was, it just seemed like a very entry-level person. And I don't mean that to be negative, but it was just all very recent experience over the past year or two, which was fantastic. It was very impressive. There are all these new certifications, all of these trailhead badges that were achieved in such a short time. But I thought, wow, the person I'm speaking with sounds like they have a wealth of experience. And then the resume looks like someone who like maybe recently graduated from university. And so my advice was take your experience, whatever it is, and apply that to your resume, and not just your resume. Include that in your voice track when you're speaking with recruiters, when you're speaking with hiring managers, because no company wants to just hire people that are robots. Companies are looking for people with diverse backgrounds. We want to hire people that have different life experiences, because that's how you come together and build a solution that accounts for all of these different things, because the customers all have diverse backgrounds. And so, most companies aren't just looking for robots that have, a bunch of certifications. They're looking for people that obviously do know, Salesforce and are certified, but also have this relevant and applicable work and life experience that they can bring to the table. And so in Anna's case, she had experience even with a digital marketing platform that is highly relevant to Salesforce, and it's a complementary technology to Salesforce that wasn't yet on the resume. And I said, you absolutely need to add that, because that's a relevant technology. You should be talking about that all of the time. So whether it's something that's very closely related to Salesforce, or maybe you're a parent and you have kids and you have complicated schedules and they have sports practices you're taking them to, and you're able to manage these complex calendars, even something like that, you can convey in a way that brings value to an employer. You could say, hey, in my personal life, I have a lot going on. I have these, I have my kids, they have their sports practice, and I'm able to manage these different things because I'm a very organized person. I use the schedule. I have this task list that I manage. And because I do that, I'm able to manage complex things happening simultaneously. And I bring that organization, not just in my personal life, but in my professional life. So the really important thing is just to convey, on top of your Salesforce achievements and things that are relevant to the specific technology, make sure to convey the additional value that you bring, because that's what's going to set you apart from the rest of the other trailblazers. So not that you should succeed and others should fail, but that you should really call attention to the specific things that complement your Salesforce capabilities.
Thank you so much for this. I have a couple of questions. If a person is feeling like, okay, well, all this time I was working as a teacher, I don't know how this relates to Salesforce. Or another question that I'm commonly asked is, well, I raised a family of 5 and now I'm trying to go back to work. I don't know how this relates to Salesforce. What should I put on my resume? I hear this very commonly. What would be your advice for how a trailblazer to design that vision for their career can identify exactly what it is that they've been doing that relates to some potential Salesforce capability that could position them as a valuable asset to a prospective employer?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And these are actually really good examples, because they're very common questions that I actually hear, and common prior roles that people play before becoming successful consultants. So in the case of a teacher, teachers are often experienced in speaking to large groups of people and being able to convey sometimes complicated topics in a way that's understandable by a large group. They're able to sort of convey these topics in a general sense. And then if some of the individuals in the class have questions, they're able to work with them directly and allow them to better understand the topics. So if you think about it, that's very similar to what we do in consulting, where Salesforce is often new to customers. So we're educating them on what the capabilities are and how it works. When it comes to being a parent or family member of a large group, another translatable skill would be basically conflict resolution and getting consensus. What do we want to eat for dinner? Something as basic as that. Maybe two people want macaroni and cheese. Maybe one person wants, chicken. Maybe one person wants, pizza. How do you reach a common agreement? How do you actually establish compromises and say, hey, maybe today we'll implement or have macaroni and cheese. And by making that compromise in a future iteration or phase or dinner time, maybe we'll have pizza. And really it's truly just translating these situations in a metaphorical way to a way that they apply to a software implementation.
Thank you so much, Marcus. I have two last questions. One is, because this is really about helping people pursue their certifications, and I'm talking about designing a vision so that you actually have that fuel. A very important aspect of it is failure. When people fail an exam, they feel like they're done. There is absolutely no hope for them. So my question is, have you ever failed an exam? And if so, how did you recover? How long did it take you to bounce back? And how did you manage your mind to do it? And my second and final question is, where should be trailblazers be looking for jobs? LinkedIn jobs this day just sent everybody a generic rejection, and it looks like LinkedIn is a black hole these days. So these are my final two questions. Thank you.
Yeah, so this one's tough because I'm a very prideful person. So I had a very good track record of passing exams on my first try. I think it was about my first 6 years where I didn't fail any exams, and I thought that I was just the best thing. And then I took the identity access management exam, and I failed it by a thin margin. And I was very, very embarrassed because I had just taken a new job at a new company just before that. And like the first thing I did was fail an exam. So it was highly embarrassing. And so what I did was I opened up Excel, and now more recently, they tell you your breakdown of scoring percentages by section. So I kind of backed into the percentages based on the weighting of the exam to understand specifically how many questions in each category I passed versus failed. So that way I was able to focus my studying on the areas where I was weaker. And then I just studied more. I figured, hey, I had spent all this time leading up to that to get pretty close. So a lot of the material was still fresh in my mind. I shouldn't quit now. I should pursue it while I still remember most of it. And so I did. So instead of watching Netflix and Hulu, I just focused on studying, and I took it again, I think in maybe a week or two later. And then I passed, not by much, but I did pass. And then the funny thing was I ended up failing another exam shortly after that. And it was so embarrassing because I had gone all these years without failing any, and then I failed these two exams. But after that, I've been lucky and I've passed everything on the first try. So my advice in a broad sense is be analytical about it, understand where your strengths and weaknesses are, and then focus on those areas and then retake it while it's fresh in your mind. Otherwise, you kind of have to reset and go back to zero. And then lastly, the question about, how can we find jobs? LinkedIn, there's often a lot of just quick rejections. Networking is really the best way to get a role. So definitely if you know people, the speaker before me mentioned that a lot of Fortune 500 companies use Salesforce. Maybe a friend or neighbor works for a Fortune 500 company. Reach out to them and say, hey, by the way, I haven't talked to you in a while. Do you use Salesforce at your company? And see if they do, and they would potentially refer you. And if not, it's good to reestablish a long-time connection of someone you may not have spoken with lately. But the important thing is definitely to network. And like I left off this discussion with, make sure to convey your value. Don't just say, hey, hire me because I have these 3 certifications, say, hey, maybe you would be interested in my background because I have these 3 certifications and I have experience doing this and that and this other thing.
This is so valuable. Really, the value of communication is what I've learned from our mentorship session. When you, in your own words, told me what you see, I have done it, how it relates to Salesforce. I had fireworks going off in my brain. And today, when I mentor my mentees, I helped several people land their dream jobs in this ecosystem, even though I've been here for just a few months. That's exactly the skill I teach them. It's hard for them to see it from their side because they're not on this side where you and I are now. It's obvious to us how those skills relate. At the time, you were on this side and I wasn't. It wasn't obvious to me. But that's what I give back now and help. Thank you so much for being here with us, Marcus. I appreciate you greatly. And I hope that people took lots of notes from what you shared because it's so valuable.
Thank you so much.
The second mindset I'm going to be sharing with you today is the mindset of an adventurer. The mindset of an adventurer. It's a journey, and you are the hero of your own journey. Why am I saying this? Because I had this early success in my career as a trailblazer. I was able to earn certifications, and then I had my first failure, which is how I met saasguru CEO, who invited me to join saasguru. And by the way, if you are watching my webinars, there's a coupon Anna20 for 20% off if you decide to do practice exams using saasguru. So I met him when I failed my exam, and it was a Sales Cloud exam. I posted about it on LinkedIn, and that's how I discovered saasguru. And then I passed many more exams, and in September, in 4 days, I passed 3 exams successfully. So far, that was my only failure. And then I got my new job, just like Marcus shared with you. He got a new job and boom, he failed certification. I got my new job and I'm taking Marketing Cloud and I fail. That was Marketing Cloud admin exam. And I was like, oh. So I rescheduled it and then I passed. Then I took Marketing Cloud email specialist and I failed. And I rescheduled it and I took the exam and I passed. So I passed 2 Marketing Cloud certifications in 3.5 weeks of my new employment, and I failed 2. And then I took Marketing Cloud Consultant and I failed. I took Marketing Cloud Consultant and I failed. And as you know, last Sunday, I took Marketing Cloud Consultant for the 3rd time and I failed. This is for full transparency. I'm sharing with you that since October, in the last 2 months, I failed Marketing Cloud Consultant exams 5 times. Specialist, admin, and 3 times I failed Marketing Cloud Consultant. Today, I met a person who announced how she is now a Salesforce Certified Marketing Cloud Consultant. I reached out to her and I told her I failed this exam 3 times. And she said, don't worry, I failed this exam 4 times. Today that I passed my exam, this was my attempt number 5. So I'm sharing this with you so that you know this is an adventure. You have to have fun on the journey. You cannot expect everything to happen overnight or to happen perfectly. So my advice to you is ditch your fixed mindset and embrace a growth mindset instead, to expand your horizons. While I'm failing these exams, I'm not only meeting incredible people who also failed, and we encourage and empower each other, and we have this contagious grit. That's what we're learning from each other. But also on this journey of adventure, failing and bouncing back, failing and bouncing back, failing and bouncing back. I've learned valuable lessons that I've been able to share with you. If I did not fail, how would I be able to be on these webinars, having people from all over the earth sharing any wisdom with you? if I did not struggle myself. So take it as an adventure. And to share with you about growth mindset on this adventurous journey versus fixed mindset, I would like to invite Sarfaraj Akram. He is 21 times Salesforce Certified Architect, 2 times Ranger, and Slack Star, Associate Partner at IBM. We met on Slack while completing the Slack Consultant Beta. Wow, that was something else. I enjoyed it very much. And taking the Slack Consultant exam, which will be available to y'all on December 5th coming up. Sarfaraj, thank you so much for being here. I am beyond excited to have you here. And I see that you're wearing your Trailblazer hoodie, I assume. Question. You have accomplished so much, yet you're still growing and taking the time to study for new exams that are not even available to the public, like Slack Consultant Beta. How did your growth mindset make your Salesforce journey an adventure? Please take it away.
Thank you for having me. Now, before I answer that question, my first Salesforce certificate took way longer than what Anna did. So I was in 3rd year in my career. I was still in job, but from there, the current number is 21. I have a couple of accredited professional as well. Those really don't show in my Trailblazer profile. But to answer the original question, to make time for the study, you really need to like what you're doing, right? Otherwise, it doesn't make sense. Salesforce certification is amazing. It gives a really structured way of validating that I really know something. When I was in my first Salesforce job, I used to work in a different technology before. I interviewed in a different company for a same technology. It was Java as a job, but they offered me, there is a new technology. Do you want to try it out, right? It was 10 years back. And from there, I never looked back. And that is probably the best decision I made in my career. Just stepping in, I was very comfortable in my previous technology. I used to manage different kinds of application. I was very comfortable. But that was probably the first push I did myself. And let me try it out. And I was in that job, but I could not get certified for first few months. I was learning a lot of things, but finally I ended up certified. Probably it was about 7-8 months into that job. And from that time, there was a time period I did not do any certificate. I was working, I used Sales Cloud, Service Cloud, I was managing different admin work and everything, but I was not getting certified. At some point, I realized that while working in a different project, hey, I should have known that particular Sales Cloud feature. I'm working on this for more than 2 years back then, so on the Salesforce platform. And then I got certified into Sales Cloud. And that really opened my mind. That was my third Salesforce certificate. I did admin before, that's the prerequisite. But that really opened my mind that doing a certificate, just working, yes, definitely, I am delivering the customer, whatever customer wants or whatever that project needs. But there is also a delta part that is part of that curriculum, but not really I'm looking into because my job is not really requiring it. So from there, I picked up that mindset. It really helped me achieve so many certificates down the line and land into a different career path. I was very much heads down into developing the work, but my growth was at some point was limited. From there, I landed into a job of Salesforce architect. And by then I cleared both application and system architect. If you know, that is a quite big pyramid. There are a lot of prerequisite certificate and everything. And like others mentioned before, failure. Yes, definitely. There are a lot of failures before achieving that. It is not like that we can always clear a certificate on one go. And identity and access management, I failed on that first attempt too. It was, it is quite tough exam. And anyone failing in that exam, or for that matter, any of those domain certificates, is not really an easy job to pull it through. There are a ton of difficult content that you have to master and then go through that exam and finally crack it. And same goes for other certificates as well. And depending on where you are on your career path, you may have different background, but we all were there. I mean, depending on wherever you in your career path, probably you know a lot today, but back then, 10 years back, I knew nothing about the Salesforce technology. I had to learn everything. So if anyone's struggling on getting their first certificate through, I was in their shoe in my career, and there were failure and there were learning, the gaps we have to identify, what are the things I do not know, and we have to figure out how we can learn. Like Phil was sharing about, if you are in a different career path, probably you are not getting that first job of Salesforce, and that is okay. You can always try to do some stretch opportunity, sign up for volunteer opportunities. There are a ton of content in Trailhead, like your super badges or projects that really give you good opportunity of real world practice of those areas that you'll not get a chance on every project. So that is how I will say. And it is not really just a stopping point anywhere. There is always so much new thing to learn. In fact, this year I did 10 Salesforce certificates. I participate in Salesforce Days, and how I get time for that, I have to work after hours. Definitely, there is no way. We always have day job. We have to work on our projects or whatever type of work you do, and have to find out a way that also works with your family and time. Consistency is the key. That if I try to set up some fixed time every week, that I will study, I will not do anything else. I'll try to learn a new piece of the technology I'm working in. And at some point in your career, you will find also that just learning Salesforce is not also enough. There are so many ecosystem platforms, right? I did a couple of certification in other areas as well. And my mindset was also similar in that area, because I'm going into this new particular technology, and I'm a new person here. I don't know what I do not know. But if I do a particular certification, at least I know a good percentage of it, and getting certified, people will know, okay, that person is at least know that percentage. And there will always growth potential from there. That is how I look like.
Thank you so much for sharing this. I think what is very inspiring is to hear your testimony, how over a long period of time, you have taken this as an adventure without the expectation of achieving all your goals yesterday. Yeah. You have taken time. And the reason why, when I met you during the Slack Consultant Beta, I saw that you were very accomplished and you have a great job. And sometimes we feel, well, I know this certification is hard, I'm gonna go for it to get a job. That's not your mindset. You're going for the adventure and growth opportunities. Slack Consultant Beta certification was quite tough. It took about 45 hours of commitment, and we did not even get certifications, because what we did is we took our exams, and then all these exams are going to be reviewed by Slack, and then based on how we all did, about 150 people, Slack will establish the passing score and then go back to each of us and see if each of us met the new passing score they established. So I think today we got an email promising that by next week we're going to know what our results are. So this is an adventure. It is not for a checkbox. It is not something you're going to get done and be happy and rest. You're done. No, it is a journey of a growth mindset that is an adventure. So thank you so much, Sarfaraj, for being here and making the time. I appreciate you greatly. I've learned a lot from your journey. I think failing exams has been difficult for me, and I share it openly because it has been difficult, and I share openly that I do not let it get under my skin. I bounce back. Absolutely. It's not easy, easy at all. But you have to do it, and you have to see it as an adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Thank you for having me. My pleasure.
Absolutely. Yes. Our next guest is Aref Alazani. He is here from London, England. Time difference is significant. He is 14 times Salesforce Certified Architect, lead solution engineer at Salesforce, founder of the Arabia Force Academy. I found it fascinating, actually. He is a philanthropist, which speaks to my heart. I'm an avid volunteer and a philanthropist as well, and a digital transformation expert. Thank you so much for being here today. Welcome, Aref. And I have a question for you. Trailblazers hustle a lot. Is this journey worth the effort? How can growth mindset help trailblazers succeed on their adventurous Salesforce journey? Please take it away.
Thanks, Anna, and thanks for having me, and thanks for all the great things you're doing for the Salesforce ecosystem and the Trailblazer community. So, my answer to the question is absolutely yes. When we choose a career, it's a huge investment decision, and we want to make sure that we are making the decision that utilize our time and effort and reward us in the optimal way, in the short term and also in the long term. One of the key differentiators for Salesforce that made it really unique from day one and all the way to today is the value of continuous innovation. So innovation is part of its DNA. Innovations means every day is different in terms of the technology, in terms of the value it provides to its customers and everything. What this will mean to you as a trailblazer joining the Salesforce ecosystem, that you're embarking a journey or a career with a market leader. There is a market leader today and will continue to be a market leader because of that continuous innovation mindset or value that they have. By learning Salesforce today, you are mainly securing your place in a career that will help you to achieve your immediate career goals today, and also will allow you to grow, because every day will be a new opportunity. Every day will be something new that will allow you to grow within that career. Last thing that you want when you start learning a new technology and embark a new career is that to find yourself after 2 or 3 years not able to grow, because simply the market is saturated. There's a stop of innovation. So I think, what will really encourage you to keep going, even though the journey might be tough and difficult, is that actually you are confident in this company that every day will be a different day with it. I joined Salesforce 16 years ago as a university graduate from Carnegie Mellon. So Salesforce came, they interviewed me in the campus, and I was hired as the very first university graduate globally at that time. Salesforce was not a big known company at that time as it is today. And at that time, actually, I had offers from big players in the market at that time, in addition to the Salesforce offer. But I think what attracted me to Salesforce at that time is that it did feel different, not only in the technology, it also felt different in its vision, it's different in its values, and also in its culture. And this is actually the kind of thing, that attracted me to Salesforce and kept me as a happy employee up to this point of time today. And no regrets. I feel that I was really lucky and I made the right decision at that point of time to join the company, because as I said, every year within my career within Salesforce is different. So I'll give you an example. My current role in Salesforce as a program architect or a lead solution engineer did not even exist at that point of time when I joined. And many of the roles that you see today in the Salesforce ecosystem, either we are talking about Slack, Tableau, and all of these new acquisitions that Salesforce made, were not part of that ecosystem. But you are joining a company that believes that it needs to continue innovating, continue bringing more customer value, or more value to its customers, opening new doors and new career opportunities to its ecosystem. And also, one of the unique things about Salesforce is that you don't have to come from a specific background. I'll give you an example. I did coach a mid-career professional who came from pharmaceutical background. He kind of got whole time in his career, and he said, Arif, do you really think that this is the right thing for me? I'm spending time learning and so on, but I'm not really a techie person. I came from a pharmaceutical background. And guess what? In a few months' time, because of his dedication and passion, he became one of the best consultants that I've seen recently, because he was able to create that unique recipe or combination of being coming from the industry, so he knows the pharmaceutical industry very well, but also he knew the Salesforce technology. So I think, sometimes you'll make the assumption that maybe Salesforce career is not the right career for me, and you'll be surprised. You'll be surprised that you're able to create your unique combination that made you stand out compared to everyone else in the ecosystem. So my advice: don't make assumptions about what you can and you cannot do when you embark your journey in Salesforce. Start with that growth mindset and say, let me start by learning the foundational knowledge and skills. Start looking around, talking to people in the ecosystem. There's a very amazing community that will support you. In all different stages of your journey. Try to experiment, and then you'll definitely find something that fits your skills and passion. And that will be the spot where you'll say, oh, that's the point where actually I feel I was looking for, to be my Salesforce career. And you will grow. As I mentioned earlier, you will find always opportunities for you to grow as a Salesforce or as a professional in the Salesforce ecosystem. So start learning, get certified as much as you can. Be patient if you fail the first time. I did fail myself, like all of the great people, all of the speakers, and Anna admitted today. My first admin certification did take me 3 times, and to be honest, if I wasn't really committed, I would have given up. But to be honest, I think I said this is the place for me, and I continue trying until I made it eventually, and I became a Salesforce certified admin. And after that, things start becoming much easier, especially these days. Learning Salesforce is not that difficult compared to the early days. So you have the trailhead, which is very structured, very clear and rich in information and content. You have an amazing supporting community around you. So if you go to LinkedIn, you can find tons of people today, who are will be more than happy to support you in your career choices and also for your career growth. So be patient, do certifications, learn, experiment, and network as much as you can.
Thank you so much for this incredible advice, Aref. I appreciate you greatly being here, our guest from England. And we have a global community here. We have a guest from Israel. And I want to ask for your forgiveness, guys, for me running a little bit late. I just want to give everybody a chance to say what they have to say, because this is our last webinar. And I know that later on, when you go back to YouTube and you replay this will encourage and empower you. Thank you, Aref. I would like to encourage you, trailblazers, with this poem that I wrote on April 7th this year. This was a letter to myself, and this poem became so applicable to every trailblazer. It took off on LinkedIn the first time I passed my exam. So this is a poem. It's called Give Yourself a Chance. This poem speaks to certification failure, feeling like you cannot learn this complex technology, and giving yourself a chance one small step at a time, one day at a time, with a growth mindset, being a hero on a journey of adventure. When feeling scared, just give yourself a chance. By analyzing paralyzed, you can't advance. To make some progress, starting is a must. While outcomes pursuing, please, the process trust. Just give yourself a chance so you can soar. View learning as a blessing, not a chore. For outcomes to happen, you must start the process. Engage in learning to ensure your progress. Yes, you can do it. Give yourself a chance. At future, not the past, I recommend you glance. A vision helps you through the journey to advance. Get started. Please, just give yourself a chance. The third mindset I would like to introduce to you today is the mindset of progress, not perfection. Give yourself some grace because the journey takes patience and you cannot have it perfectly. So my advice to you is do not let a paralysis from analysis rob you of potential progress. Take small steps forward every single day and bounce quickly from failure. Bounce quickly from failure. Our next guest is Matthew Zwalski. He is 26 times Salesforce Certified Architect, 5 times Ranger, 502 badges as of last night, and 3,880 points for learning. Amazing. He is Slack certified, principal consultant at Slalom. We met while taking Slack consultant beta exam, which was an amazing beta in November. And that being there tells me that he has a growth mindset because this was the work we've done without even receiving certifications. So Matthew, thank you so much for being here today. I absolutely love having you. I am very blessed that you're here. And I have a question for you. Have you ever experienced paralysis by analysis on your Salesforce journey? And what is the value of progress over perfection? The stage is yours. Please take it away.
Hey, Anna, thank you. And hey, everyone, honored to be here. Thanks for hosting this and shooting me an invite to participate. So to answer your question, I mean, I have, I guess, some experiences I could bring and then maybe some tools I use to excel. So I guess it also goes back to my first job where I remember in the interview, my boss asked, do you know what Salesforce is? And I had no clue. I'd never heard of it before. So I told him no. And he still hired me. And that's really when my trailblazer journey began. And I was thrown in fast. So in terms of, paralysis by analysis, I think that's what it was. I was, in an environment that was very fast paced. I had 3 weeks to start training on some trailheads. And before I knew it, I am on projects. I'm working with the business to develop, to build, to tell them what they need. And, my first task was a developer task as well. And it was, something to make a call out to a credit union to essentially get back some results, their credit score, analyze it. And it was really tough. I was very overwhelmed at the start. It was a very fast-paced environment. And I was really going over every single platform limit, every single resource I could find, integration, architecture, solution, etc., just to make sure that the solution I would build would be perfect. And I spent a week or two just planning. I was scared to even start working on it. And even after all that work, it turns out that when I started working on it and implementing that solution, I still missed a few things and ran into issues. So, even through all my analysis, I still missed a couple of things. Ended up finding a solution. Luckily, I was supported by an experienced developer. He helped me find workarounds to a lot of the problems that I was facing, and I was actually over-analyzing. So, it helped me discover some new tools as well. Like in this case, it was using a queuable Apex method to go asynchronously to get around the problem. So from that experience, I learned a couple of valuable lessons. One is, you will never know everything. Nothing you build will really ever be perfect, but there will always be a way to make it better. That being said, analysis and pre-work is always necessary, but too much planning can sometimes be counterproductive. And then the second lesson was that you learn new things, or I learned new things, I should say, by doing. And I learned much more efficiently when I was faced with a specific challenge and really hopped into the problem and found a way to overcome it than I did trying to really study and analyze every detail before I even started. Another example.
This resonates with me so much. That's exactly my approach. This is how, when I started working on projects, I wanted to plan everything perfectly and get started. And then when I would do it, there would be unexpected things. So we have to be agile. So we discover new things and we adjust quickly. We iterate and we present our solution. Then we take feedback, implement it quickly, adjust. And that's how we go. And I can relate so much to what you're saying because I was envisioning how when I deliver, it's just going to be perfect. And from the start, by the way, there won't be a second iteration.
That's it. I mean, another example that comes to mind was, certification based, that also in parallel to this, I was being encouraged to go get my developer certification. It was the first time I was getting a certification. And, I set up a plan to put aside 4 hours every week just to study concurrently for this exam, practice in my developer sandbox, and really do some practice questions. And as the date grew nearer and closer, I remember I was just getting more and more worried. So, I find it helpful to practice mindfulness, and I would try to identify the feelings that were flowing through. And I identified that, I was scared of failing the exam because I felt that if I failed it, I would look, weak, or it would imply that I'm not good at what I do. And then also, I felt that given more time, an infinite amount of time, I would learn more and have a better chance of passing. So, it brings an example to mind. I listen to some podcasts sometimes, but, I know you were talking earlier about the notion of failure. This speaker, I think she was the CEO of Spanx. And she was talking when she grew up, she explained that her father
Sarah Blakely.
That's her. So she explained that her father actually encouraged them to fail. And every week when she got home from school, her father would ask, "Hey, what did you fail at this week?" And if she didn't have something to say or to answer, he would be disappointed. So she came home one week and said, "Hey, Dad, I tried out for the soccer team and I was horrible." And he said, "Way to go." And he gave her a high five. And I personally remember thinking, hey, that's a bit weird, because that's not how my dinners went with my family. And what she explained, that was in hindsight, she understood that her father was really redefining failure. So instead of failure becoming about the outcome, it really just became about not trying. So the
and
moral
he would
is,
also tell her, why did you not fail today? That means you haven't learned anything new. You haven't tried anything new. And that also, by the way, when I was listening to this years ago, that also helped me see failure today differently, because until this year, I never had an exam failure.
Yeah, I can relate totally. Anyways, I ended up taking the exam as planned. I didn't know every answer, but I realized when I took it that I knew much more than I perceived. So I'm grateful that I didn't postpone it and, in fear of failure. And I rationalized that even if I failed, at least I tried and could always give it a second shot. There was also a quote, I think, from Paolo Coelho. I don't know if anyone's read The Alchemist, a great book, you should check it out. But he wrote that I think the secret to life is to fall 7 times, but to get up 8. So, it all fits into the theme. I
recommend this book highly, the book you bring up. I read it in Russian and in English over a period of several years. And I will tell you, recently I just listened to it as an audiobook, because the truth is this. In this book, the guy is chasing a treasure, and he goes on an incredibly difficult journey. And it ends up that the treasure is being up exactly where he started, where he was sitting, right? Exactly where he was. And as I'm failing all these exams, and I want to give up, I'm done. Me and Marketing Club, we are done. And I give myself this room and I call my friend and I'm like, I'm done with these exams. And she always listens and she's like, yeah, totally. I want to validate your feelings. You have the right to give up. This is completely normal. And I'm like, I am done for good. And when a couple of days pass, I always go back to this vision of this journey from the alchemist, that the truth is this: I'm pursuing something outside of myself, but it is within myself, exactly where I am, that I need to be looking. Why do I want to give up? Instead, I need to expand my growth mindset, expand my horizons, reach out for more help, try different resources. But giving up is quick and easy, and that's what we want. And the guy in the book wanted quick money.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that book, if I remember correctly, is translated in over 100 languages. It's one of the most, but it's a great read. I know we're a bit over. I had just a second point. If I have 2 more minutes, I could talk a bit more about progress.
That would be really valuable.
So that's
everybody is welcome to drop. We have a few more guests who I hope can stay, but because this is our last webinar, I would love to hear your point of view, and we can adjust accordingly if anybody needs to leave.
Sure, I'll try to speed up. So progress over perfection is something that sits, I guess, near and dear to my heart, as that's what I try to do, is focus on progress more than perfection. My partner is the opposite. So I have a lot of, when answering this question, I was thinking of some conversations we've had together. So whether or not true perfection is attainable is kind of a debate in itself. We all share the notion of perfection, but the perception of perfection is really different to everyone. So I was speaking to her, and she's very involved in psychiatry, and we were talking about duality or dualistic thinking. So for those who don't know, it's a lot of dualistic thinking is something that many of us face, and it really has a powerful effect on our beliefs and actions. So what is it? It's a 1 or a 0. It's the notion that something is either good or bad. It's either negative or positive, but really nothing in between. And this thought process really is crippling and stunts our progress. So the reason I'm bringing this up is because perfectionists tend to subconsciously encourage this type of thinking. Because if you're focusing on perfection, I feel that you start to believe that if something isn't perfect, it's horrible. And that's not true. So the strive for perfection usually blinds us from appreciating all the progress that we're making to achieve a better state, regardless of what that is. And I can almost guarantee that if each of you write down a few things you've achieved over the past few weeks, months, years, you'll be surprised at what you write down and to see the progress that you made. So I guess my point is that if you adopt processes outside of this, dualistic pattern, it really opens up a spectrum that is extremely healthy and helps really nurture our success. So, you could say stuff like, looking at the work I've done, saying it's not perfect, but it's pretty great, or I haven't reached my goal yet, but hey, I've come a long way, or I know I don't know a lot about the platform app builder exam, but I can still learn more. So yeah, that's my point. Sometimes looking backwards, you really realize how much progress you've made. I know that it kind of sneaks up on you. I've been working in Salesforce and tech for 6 years now, coming from someone who didn't know what Salesforce was. And I remember how difficult it was to land my first job, get my first certification, complete my first project. And in the moment, I was so stressed and didn't feel like I was making any progress. And focusing on the long path ahead and end state, the perfect end state of knowing everything. I was working with some people who knew everything and being able to do everything. It didn't feel like I was really making progress, but looking back now, I'm really amazed at the progress that I made. Yeah, I failed some certifications on the first try, but it didn't stop me from trying again. I've learned different programming languages like JavaScript that, I used to think was completely crazy. And I was silent in meetings that I had before because I lacked confidence to propose new solutions. But now I have that confidence and I'm able to challenge the status quo, which feels great. So when you're stuck, I guess often think about the progress will help you get unstuck. Perfection, not so much.
Thank you so much for sharing this, Matthew. I absolutely appreciate you bringing this to our attention. I want to piggyback on what you said and support it, but I also want to call our next speaker, who is Yumi Abramzadeh. Yumi Abramzadeh. And if Yumi is still here, thank you so much for being here. I know this is quite a time difference. You are joining us from Israel. And before I wrap up, I do want to share this quote of mine that I embraced with all my heart, just exactly as Matthew described just now. I embraced it on this Salesforce journey. Here's why. It appeared to me that the good thing would be for me to apply for a job and get it. Instead, I had more than 70 interviews. I said 70, and I got so much rejection, which appears to be a really bad thing, terrible thing, like I'm a total loser. That is how I ended up with multiple job offers for my first job. Because what it did to me, it helped me build grit, it helped me discover my why, it helped me persevere and document many lessons learned, which are all the lessons I am sharing with you guys. And when you write to me your letters, sometimes I cry because you tell me how valuable these webinars are, which is a very good thing. But how did this come about? From that terrible, bad thing, from my perspective, that was really bad, that I got so much job rejection. Do you understand what I'm saying? The world is not just black and white. And that is why I want to share with you this amazing quote from Alice in Wonderland. If I had a world of my own, everything would be nonsense. Nothing would be what it is, because everything would be what it isn't. And contrary-wise, what is, it wouldn't be. And what it wouldn't be, it would. You see? So when I read this over and over, I think about my Salesforce journey, because on my Salesforce journey, the bad things that happen led me to this good thing when I'm able to mentor and support and encourage and empower all of you globally, which is a good thing that came out of this bad thing. So on your own journey, do not think black and white. Do not be close-minded, fixed-minded, have growth mindset. And now this is mindset number 4 that I would like to share with you. The mindset of a teacher, because you are looking right now at my teacher. My tip is help yourself by helping others. Here's my advice: teach others what you learn, and it helps you grow and get better. I did this on my Salesforce journey. I wrote many articles. They helped me grow, and also they helped me learn while I was teaching you guys. And that is my last and final recommendation for how you can help yourself. So Yumi is 23 times Salesforce Certified, 2 times Ranger, Senior Salesforce Solution Architect at All Cloud. He is joining us from Israel. He's a founder and blogger at Salesforce Time. That's every day for me, Salesforce Time. A popular teacher on Udemy. I am his student currently learning Flow from his course I currently purchased. He speaks 3 languages and has a very, very kind heart and a lot of patience. Yumi, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for sticking around. And I have a question. What has been the impact of your decision to teach others on you? How did teaching others help you grow as a trailblazer? The stage is yours.
First of all, thank you so much, Anna, for inviting me to this great webinar. I'm really happy to attend. So, teaching is not a new thing for me. I have always tried my best to teach others, and I enjoyed doing it. I used to help and teach my friends at the high school and then at the university. However, I never thought of being a teacher when I grew up. I was doing it just because I really like to teach people and I like to share my knowledge with them. Plus, they were passing their exams and they were thanking me all the time, so this was making me feel good. So then years passed and I started working with Salesforce. I loved it so much and I wanted to improve myself in all the areas of Salesforce. That's why and how I got all these 23 certifications, but this number can be changed anytime. So I'm working at a Salesforce partner, as you said, and so my colleagues are all Salesforce professionals. So I continue sharing my knowledge with them, and from time to time I give internal workshops, and I always try my best to help them if they have any issues with their projects. So as I said, I really like Salesforce, but there is one specific thing that I love most about Salesforce, and it's the automation tool called Flow. So I love it so much that it became my job and also my hobby. So almost every day after the work hours, I continue building flows and I improve my skills. Plus, as you said, I have this blog called Salesforce Time, and I write blog posts about Flow. Almost a year ago, I became the champion of the first worldwide Flow Fest. And then I started to get messages from many people asking me if I have a Flow course, but I didn't. So then this made me think about preparing a Udemy course maybe, but finally I did it. It took some time, but I did it. I released it a few months ago and I already have more than 700 students there. I'm getting great feedback about this course. which makes me really satisfied about what I'm doing. So let's come to the answer to your question. So what can I teach? I can teach only the information that I know. I cannot teach something that I don't know. Because of this, I always search for information, try the ideas that I have just to see if they are possible to implement, and I improve my knowledge all the time. So that I can share this information through blog posts, webinars, or workshops or courses. So I think this is a win-win situation. I see that people are happy that I am sharing my knowledge with them, and I see that they succeed using what they learn from me. So on the other hand, I am happy that I improve myself and I get better at what I'm doing, so which affects my career in a very good way. So I get great feedback at work from my colleagues, from my manager, from my customers also. And I see that customers always want to work with me on their projects. They prefer me in their team. I see that they feel comfortable when I'm in their team. I get many connections also on LinkedIn, which is, I think, very important for my career. So I can say that teaching others impact my career in a good way, and it makes me grow. Actually, in the end, this is our Salesforce Ohana, and I think everybody should give back to the community by helping others. And this is actually the beauty of this community.
Thank you so much for sharing. It's very interesting what's about to happen, because I am a testimony to how your teaching impacts my learning. And I thank you so much. I've enjoyed your course a great deal, and I have not finished it yet completely, but I plan to finish it and give you definitely a 5-star review. And thank you so much for sharing your perspective. So that's me testifying how you missed teaching while he was learning, helped my learning. But while I'm learning, I am also teaching. I write articles on LinkedIn. I make YouTube videos. I make YouTube LinkedIn posts. So our next speaker is here to testify about that. Adnan Kazmi, whom you already saw today, is 2-time Salesforce Certified professional. Adnan recently wrote a letter to me. Let's bring him on stage. And Adnan shared how my teachings impacted his learnings and how he also began teaching others to help their learnings. Wow. Do you see the compound effect, guys? Adnan, welcome again on stage. This time you're a speaker, and please share with us how you discovered my content and how it helped you and your trailblazer journey and your desire to teach others as you're learning.
Okay, thank you very much, Anna, for inviting me. And I'm really excited about sharing how this all worked up and how I started following you and how it has changed and accelerated my learning journey. It's crazy, and it's really, really amazing. So basically, I came across your profile when you actually failed your sales consultant. And I was like, what? There is a woman, she's actually sharing her failure rather than the success. And I was like, and I was very reluctant to book my first exam of admin. I was like, yes, I'm going to fail. And I just need more time. And because of that, I booked my exam. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I think failing is not bad. I understand we all fail in life and we just need to move on. But for some reason, I'm from Pakistan, and in Pakistan and Indian culture, it's pretty bad if you fail an exam. And I have never failed in an exam. So because of that fear, it was holding me back. But when I looked at you, the way you were actually celebrating your failure, and you were like, I cried and I'm up again, and I'm just going to carry on preparing. And then you passed, and then I saw you are smashing certification after the certification. I was like, what is this woman? Like, she is just like, she's just great inspirations for everyone. And I was like, okay, I believe in like, you are an average of 5 people you spend your time with, your most time with. And I was like, okay, and I wanted to have the same kind of vision. I was like, okay, I want to have 6 certifications under my belt, right? So this is how my vision links within your vision. I was like, okay, I need to have 6, but why do I need to have, like you always say, that you need to find your why? And I said, why do I need to have 6? Why not 6, 7, 5? Why not 3? I need to have 6 because I want to increase the value I would be bringing. Okay, so I started studying for it. So I've done 1, I'm learning more things, and I've done the second certification, looking at your YouTube video. Absolutely brilliant tips you've given for the business analyst. Really, really helped me passing that. Now, I was thinking, okay, now I'm learning these things, but this is a journey. But how do I actually tell people now I am capable to, I have the capability of adding the value to your business? So how would I tell the recruiters? Because on the CV, they're only gonna see someone with 2 certifications. So how do I tell them? I said, okay, I went back, what are you doing? I said, oh, I really like Anna's strategy. She's not sharing her success, she's actually sharing her journey. So I started doing the same thing. I said, okay, my journey is whatever I'm learning, I'm going to start sharing it with other people. And I was okay, what I am really passionate about. Okay, I'm really passionate about flows because I'm a business analyst by profession, and business analysts are always working with process maps, and it just kind of makes sense to me. So I'm very passionate about it, and I started learning more about it. And as I was learning, I started sharing it on my LinkedIn, and all of a sudden I see my followers are increasing. People are sending me the messages. Oh, I'm really, your content is really helping. And I was like, what content? I'm just sharing my journey, like my learning, right? And then a couple of people said, it's really motivating seeing your progress. And I was like, okay, that is brilliant. And I was like, okay, while I'm getting inspired by you, by your journey, and because I'm doing the same thing what you are doing, I'm inspiring other people without even realizing. And that is what something really, really, like, that's where I said, okay, it's good. Like, there's so many people, about 35 people were on this webinar. And I was like, okay, this is where sometimes people get it wrong. That we do come on the webinars, we go onto the different videos, but where we really, really make a mistake is we take that knowledge, we don't turn that knowledge into the actions. And this is the most important thing, that we need to take that knowledge from the mentors or from the people we're following and turn that into the actions, and that actions, they can help us to reach towards our vision. So this is what you really, really taught me, and this is how it has actually accelerated my journey. I'm actually, because of you, I have joined saasguru's bootcamp, and I'm actually glad. I'm glad you have joined it, because the value I'm actually getting from it is brilliant. It is brilliant. The hands-on experience I'm getting from it is brilliant, and I just cannot wait to sit my next exam. I'm not going to tell the date, but I am going to be passing it soon. So I really hope this is helpful for everyone else.
Thank you so much for sharing your journey, and thank you so much for sharing that you joined SaaSguru. SaaSguru is a platform that is creating these webinars, that invited me to do these 5 webinars for you. SaaSguru offers practice exams. You can get 20% off if you use the coupon code Anna20. And I just want to say, Adnan, that what you shared means so much to me, because this journey has been very difficult for me. And when I shared that I passed my exam, by the time I took a shower and blinked and had my breakfast, people flooded my brand new LinkedIn, because I was an early adopter of LinkedIn from 2011. I had 10,000 connections, 101 recommendations. It was developed from the start. I deleted all my social media in 2020. And I focused on my poetry, on my Christian ministry, and I focused on people in my life, one-on-one, face-to-face conversations. And I focused on my TED Talk, where I delivered a TED Talk in 2020 about real feelings and being fully human and not pretending anymore, being perfect, multi-filtered, photoshopped, staged. And that changed me. It changed me because I decided to show the truth. So when I was persuaded by my classmates in bootcamp to get back on LinkedIn to share the tips I was giving them live on our Zoom calls. I surrendered and I said, okay, I will create this new LinkedIn, fine. And when I shared that I passed the exam, people flooded me with letters, how they feel inadequate, how much anxiety they have, how they failed once and now they are done forever, how they rescheduled for 11 months now and they feel not good enough, not ready enough. And I thought, oh my goodness, this relates back to my TED Talk. This relates back to the journey. And my journey was not easy. It's just that I did not give up when I wanted to give up. I want to give up every day. I just don't. I understand the non-blackness, non-whiteness of the world. You have to balance it. And so when I started sharing my successes, when I had my failure and I cried when I failed the Sales Cloud exam, and when the CEO of saasguru invited me to join saasguru, and he said, it will help you next time. And I thought, I have to be truthful forever on about all my failures, because I do not want to appear multi-filtered, staged, and non-human, perfect all the time. That's not how it really is. It is a journey that sometimes there is struggle and there is pain and there are tears and there is happiness. It's both, not either or. So what you're sharing with me means a lot to me, because I really want to have an impact on people to show that life is not perfect. We are not perfect. I am not perfect in any way, shape, or form, but I'm good enough. And to get to this point, to say this, took 4 decades. And my desire is to encourage and empower people and to show them that they cannot be perfect. Perfection is poison, but that you are good enough. You are a valuable asset. Take it one step at a time and you're gonna get somewhere. But if you trap yourself, suffocate yourself, beat yourself up every day with the perfection hammer, you're not gonna get too far. That's the truth. So thank you so much for sharing and testifying here. I hope this is encouraging and empowering you. If you're here today, please raise your hand if you want to share what this webinar has done for you. And if you are watching this on YouTube sometime in the future, I really hope that on this journey, you will allow yourself to both laugh and cry. That on this journey, you will allow yourself to both succeed and fail. That on this journey, you will be sharing valuable lessons learned and not portray yourself as a perfect unicorn. Multi-staged, multi-filtered, Photoshop, don't be. Be fully human, be truthful, be authentic. We need this from each other. If we create rainbow unicorn illusion, delusion, then we contribute to the world's rates of suicide. And as a 3-time suicide survivor, I am on a mission to show people that life sometimes rocks and sometimes it sucks. And yet it is a great journey worth pursuing. And we need to stick around. We need to stick around ourselves, which is the most difficult thing to do, as COVID proved to us. We are devastated when we have to be with ourselves, and we need to stick around other people. We need to stick around our goals, and we need to invest energy, effort, and grit. That is how we get to the point of success. And when we get there, we will not be happy all the time. We will not be done. We will not be fulfilled all of a sudden 100%. We will need to set new goals and pursue those new goals. And there will be more failure and more success. And that is the journey of life. And we need to accept it. And we are good enough to pursue our dreams. That's why I started sharing on LinkedIn. Thank you so much for sharing your testimony, Adnan. Thank you so much to everybody who is sticking around. We have our last speaker, and she is a speaker here 3 times She is everybody's favorite, Elizabeth Appleknap. She is recently Salesforce Certified in November, Salesforce Certified admin, who entered the Ohana ecosystem with a bang when she performed her song here 6 days after she became certified. She is a popular YouTuber at Salesforce and Songs. She is 3 times guest on my webinars, and I only had 5, so you can imagine that she's been here for most of the time. Elizabeth, thank you so much. This is your opportunity to share your testimony on what has been the value of my webinars for you. When I decided to teach, how did this help your learning? And what do you think about the value of my webinars for the entire Trailblazer community? And how did my teachings help your learnings? Please take it away. I know you have a gift for us today.
Well, first of all, thank you, Anna. It's so awesome to be here again. And you had me all teary-eyed over here when you were speaking. It was so beautiful. So I've really gotten a lot of value out of just becoming your LinkedIn friend and having seen all of your posts and your stories and how authentic and real you are. I know it's so easy to compare ourselves to everyone in their perfect moments, but seeing all your realness on your page really helped me. So yes. So one of the things that's really resonated me with these webinars and that you spoke about today was finding your vision and holding true to that. I recently became certified and I've been, applying for jobs and I've been getting those rejections, and maybe I should make a post about that since I haven't really talked much about my failures on LinkedIn. But yeah, I just feel like that's so important to have that vision and that dream and really keep your hope alive and never let it go, because we're going to continue to get rejections, and I know that I will sometimes fail, but hearing everybody's stories and the guest speakers saying that they failed this test this many times, or they got rejected from these interviews, it makes me feel like I'm in good company. Like, this is a totally normal thing. And even though nobody wants to hear no, nobody wants to get that email saying, oh, sorry, you don't have enough experience, but it's going to be okay. And I just hope that everybody can keep that hope, because I know these webinars have really filled me with a lot of hope for myself, for sure. And also the grit, I know that was something that we spoke about a lot, and grit is really important. I know that life in general is just never easy, but if you want something hard enough and you keep positive and keep working towards your goal, you will get there eventually. It just, sometimes you gotta give yourself a break and pat yourself on the back for the little wins and the little victories.
I agree 100%, and thank you so much for sharing your testimony. You and I had an agreement. As 2 creatives, we agreed that for this one final webinar, you're going to write a new song and present it tonight. But before you do, I'm going to fulfill my part of our agreement, and I promised that I will write a new poem. And this poem is called Trailblazer. I wrote it to you, Trailblazer, and that also includes me. What does it mean to actually blaze your trail? You practice daily grit, no matter what, to much avail. Trailblazers must, through hardships, persevere, even when hardships faced are quite severe. All challenges must conquer you with grit. When struggling, your humanness admit. Yet, to your vision of the future, please commit. To your desire to quit, please don't submit. Instead, Trailblazer, focus on small steps. Learn what you can, no matter how complex. One foot in front of the other, blaze your trail. Pursue a vision, dreams and goals will much avail.
Yay, I loved it. It was perfect.
Let us hear your song.
So this one is called 5 Stars. And it's called that because I'm giving Anna's webinar 5 stars. Anna's webinars, I'd give them 5 gold stars. They gave inspiration to people near and far. Speakers that showed how to succeed, and that if we fail, we still can lead. From golden hoodie winners to newbies on the trail, they show that there's a place for us and we can do it all. Anna's webinars, I'd give them 5 gold stars. They gave inspiration to people near and far. Tips to passing your exam, strategies galore. You might think that you can't do it. Look inside and you will soar. Do the thing that scares you. Be your authentic self. Let your kindness shine through and bring each other up. One last verse. Anna's webinars, I'd give them 5 gold stars. They gave inspiration to people near and far. Thank you for the knowledge, thank you for the time. We have come away much better learning from you all. Thank you, Anna. 5 stars.
This means so much to me. Wow. Thank you. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. I appreciate you greatly. I appreciate everybody who was a speaker at my webinar, who attended. I appreciate saasguru for inviting me to do this webinars. This was not easy for me. These webinars take many, many, many hours of preparation and management and finding speakers. And of course, as an introvert, this is a huge step outside of myself for me to be here. And I know, Elizabeth, it is also for you. So thank you, everybody. I cannot tell you how much this means to me, to have this forum, to give of myself, to see how well you received it and the compound effect of it in your life. I also want to give glory to God, because without God, I would not be here. I would not be alive. And I'm very happy to be here alive and be able to help so many people globally. So thank you. Paula, let's unmute you.
Hi Anna.
Hi, Paula.
I do want to share, of course, you have impacted me with these webinars, like everyone said, in so many ways. One of the main things you talked about today is in enjoying the journey. All through my life, you know, I do things scared. I do things with this heaviness in my stomach that I wish I didn't have to. But through these webinars, I made the choice to change my battery from the fear of failure to the hope of success. And I do want to share that because of the things that I have learned through this webinar, I had a great week today. I had 10 job interviews, and I have 4 scheduled for next week as second interviews move forward. So thank you so much. And the best thing about it is I'm doing it with joy, with hope, with excitement, and not from a place of fear. So thank you so much for investing in us, to Sadhguru and yourself.
You're welcome. I'm so glad to hear this. This means so much to me. I am so proud of you. This is not easy, especially when you want to be perfect and you want to give your best every day and you don't know how you're doing, and you are doing so well. And I'm so proud of you. I appreciate you, Paula. And is there anyone else who would like to raise their hand and come on stage and say anything they want to say? Adnan?
Yes, just one last thing I wanted to bring to your attention, that one thing you actually said, and I want everyone else to follow that as well strongly, that I have received some rejections in last few weeks because I'm trying to move into like Salesforce ecosystem from my generalist BA role, and I was actually getting these rejections. I was like, okay, that's fine. But I took your advice on board, and yesterday was the first day I actually went back to the recruiter and I said, okay, what is the reason is there anything missing in my CV? Can you please give me your feedback? And the response I got, it was so overwhelming. I was like, wow. The response was word to word. It was, thank you very much for reaching out to me. You are doing absolutely the right thing for your career development. And I'm so happy you have reached to me. And then she's given me some tips. Okay, you need to do this certification. The particular role you applied, it was specifically for people who had 5 years Salesforce experience. But it has really, really helped me. And then then I actually told her, okay, this is what I'm trying to do. And then she's connected me with me on LinkedIn, and she said, okay, let's stay in touch. If something comes along, I will keep you in mind, right? And I was like, wow, this is really, really good. So all of a sudden, like I've received a rejection, and all of a sudden from there to someone actually connecting with me on LinkedIn and saying, okay, let's stay in touch. If something comes along, I will keep you in mind. I was like, this is so powerful. This is so super. So I would suggest to everyone else as well, this does work. By asking for the feedback is probably the best thing you can do. In worst case scenario, nothing will happen, but you still have another connection, which may help you in the future. Right. So
thank you so much for
sharing
sharing this. And I also want to encourage everybody on this webinar to go and subscribe to saasguru YouTube channel. We have one more video from last week that's not been published that you can see if you subscribe to the channel when saasguru publishes. And hopefully this video will also be published soon, and you can always go back to it. I do see that Armin unmuted herself. Armin, do you have anything that you want to say, or was this a mistake?
No, I would like to thank you, Anna and saasguru, for creating this beautiful opportunity for the new and old trailblazers to come together to share their ups and downs. Here some encouragement for those who under certain circumstances are feeling a little bit left behind. Do not worry if one exam doesn't happen from the first try. That's all right. We can try it. You can try it in a few tries. That's what this beautiful journey is. It's difficult, it's challenging, it's demanding, it's fearful, but once you are in, we see the success of Anna and many others. We will also be there. We will also contribute to our trailblazer community. I am thinking about how would I contribute, taking into consideration my international development experience, my university teaching experience, and how can I be different and yet very useful to the newbies. So thank you very much. This is very genuine, authentic, encouraging. I have no other words but to be grateful and wish you all the best.
Thank you. This means a lot to me. You and I have a similar background. We grew up in the USSR. We were taught to always have it together, smile, wear high heels and makeup, and always hold it all together. But it's proven not to work in my life at all. And I don't want to be like that. I want to be real. I want to be human. Sometimes I do wear high heels and makeup and I'm together, and sometimes I can't. And I have been so encouraged when I first saw you at Clicked, and I saw that your name was Armin Sargsyan. I'm like, she is an iron lady. And I reached out to the CEO of Clicked and I said, I need to connect with her, because she is made of the same thing I am made out of, and we need to walk this journey together. And being on this journey with you, having those late night conversations about all of our challenges impacted me a lot and helped me look at my why. Why do I want to push through, persevere, develop more grit, and not give up? And I did not give up, and you know how difficult it was for me. And so here we are. Thank you so much for your testimony. And I also want to thank saasguru for creating this forum for us. And here I'm going to say goodbye. You guys have a wonderful weekend. Please post about this webinar on LinkedIn, tag saasguru. Provide your feedback. Your feedback really matters. And another thing you can do is nominate me as a Salesforce MVP. Salesforce currently is running this for 2 more days. You can nominate me as a Salesforce MVP by December 4th, and this would also mean a lot to me. Thank you so much, everybody. Bye-bye.